Welcome to the third day of the second meeting of states parties to the UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. I'm sorry we are a bit delayed today, but there's so much happening here in the UN in relation to the treaty and the meeting. Today, it's already the general debate is going on in the Trusteeship Council, and I'm super impressed by all the powerful statements from the state parties. Later today, we're going to hear more about our universalization will be the topic discussed in the Trusteeship Council. And that's only today. Yesterday, let's just take a short recap of what was happening. We had Youth MSP with hundreds of youth delegates from all over the world meeting here in New York to discuss the treaty and how youth perspectives should be included and how they can push the agenda forward. We talked to Sarah Kutter, medical student from Germany, and Mohammed El Haji, a climate activist from Morocco. In the evening, the Nuclear Free Future Award was awarded to Tina Cordova, co-founder of the Tularose Basin Downwinders Consortium, to Benedict Kaboom Madison, a US-based Marshallese educating about the terrible legacy of the 67 nuclear tests conducted in the Marshall Islands, and to Hinamura Morgan Cross, a French Polynesian, who realization that her own leukemia was a legacy of French atomic tests in the South Pacific. That led her into activism and to pressure the French government into acknowledgement of responsibility and medical financial support. We also had a huge opening of Artists Against the Bombs exhibition with more than 200 art pieces. That's open until the 6th of December at Judd Foundation, if you want to have a look and you're here in New York. And this morning, we already had interfaith prayers outside the UN building. We had affected communities meeting to share their experiences and make strategies for how to push this agenda forward. And at Wall Street, we have an event focusing on the financial aspects and the money behind these weapons of mass destruction. Luckily for us, Emma Pike, our roaming reporter, went down to the Judd Foundation yesterday to take a sneak peek on the opening on the huge and nice exhibition. Emma, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. This is Emma for MSPTV. It is Wednesday, day 3 of the second meeting of states parties to the TPNW. And today, before I head to the UN, in a few minutes, I want to show you what I did last night. Because I think when most of us think of the MSP, we think of the UN, naturally. However, I want to show you that there are so many things happening outside of the walls of the UN that I believe deserve at least as much attention. Last night was the opening for the Artists Against the Bomb exhibition at the Judd Foundation in Soho, New York City. This exhibition, which is in support of the TPNW, was organized by Estudio Pedro Reyes as well as ICANN, and it was absolutely incredible. It's a collection of urgent messages that call for universal nuclear disarmament. And this series of posters is designed by international artists from all over the world, and they can be printed locally and exhibited anywhere. I especially love the fact that each artist who participates in Artists Against the Bomb then nominates 2 other artists to take part in hopes of sparking a sort of chain reaction. This is my friend and fellow campaigner Mackenzie showing me the merch that she got, including this tote bag and a book on Artists Against the Bomb. The entire energy in there was just so vibrant and so uplifting. It was the kind of event where if you were walking down the street and you walked past and looked in and saw all of this art on the walls, saw all of these people gathered, you would think, I want to be in there. And it really reminded me that art has such a crucial role to play in shifting our collective narrative on nuclear weapons and moving the world toward disarmament. So if you happen to be in New York this week or next week, head to the Judd Foundation. You will be so glad that you did.
Moments ago, we spoke to Tony Hackes from the Mexican delegation. We are so lucky to have Chancellor Tony Hackes, Coordinator for Disarmament and Non-Proliferation at the Secretary of the Foreign Affairs in Mexico, here with us today. First of all, congratulations on your leadership, being the chair, Mexico being the chair of the second meeting of states parties to the UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. And thank you for the powerful statement of Juan Ramon de la Fuente yesterday. You chose to open this meeting with two powerful panel discussions about the humanitarian impacts of nuclear weapons. Why was that so important for you in Mexico?
Thank you. First and foremost, thanks to ICANN and to all the civil society for the important role in the partnership with the member states of this organization and also the states parties of the TPNW. Thank you for the question. The president and the team and Mexico decided to include a focalized debate, thematic debate, because first and foremost, it was the first time, we wanted to discuss these issues inside the rooms of the United Nations. Let me be very clear, because I have been receiving some questions about this. We had the humanitarian conferences almost 10 years ago. I can't believe that it's almost 10 years ago in Oslo, Nayarit, Mexico, and Austria on the humanitarian impact of nuclear weapons. Those were organized by states. Those were not organized by the UN. Then we had some, of course, talk about this issue and the concern about this issue at the NPT context in the conference, the review conference of 2010, which was the first time that the states manifested concern about the catastrophic consequences of nuclear weapons as the foundation of the work that we do. Then we had the open-ended working group in Vienna that led to the establishment of the TPNW. And of course, we had the first meeting of states parties in Vienna. But we had not had a focalized thematic debate on the consequences of nuclear weapons in New York at the headquarters of the United Nations. So we wanted this conference to introduce this modality of thematic debates, to have a more focalized discussion with the participation of scientific groups, academia, civil society, as well as states, and have, of course, the survivors in the panels hearing their testimonies as the way to start talking about the implementation of the treaty. Because if we don't hear these testimonies and if we don't talk about the consequences, it's a little bit more difficult to explain why we need to continue advancing the implementation of the treaty and why everything has to work. So the humanitarian impact of nuclear weapons debate is not what we do, it's why we do it. And that's why we wanted to have this debate. One of the possible decisions, we're waiting for the parties to debate on the decisions that we're going to adopt this conference, is for all the presidents, the successive presidencies, to have the possibility of having thematic debates also on other issues that pertain to the treaty. For example, we have had the example of the Landmine Convention or the Cluster Munitions Convention or the ATT that have focalized debates on matters of the treaty, so that we have different meetings, not only a reiteration of positions, but we also can have the participation of civil society and the contribution of different organizations to this debate. Hopefully, this decision will be adopted.
Exciting! That's a sneak peek into what will happen. Also, now we're almost halfway into the second meeting of states parties. What's your impression so far?
Well, what can I say? Everything is going according to plan, but even better, because we have a lot of participation from different sectors of the United Nations family, but also from outside. A lot of civil society organizations, academia organizations, and most importantly, the observers, countries that have not yet signed or ratified the treaty. Some of them have even some reticence, but are here present, observing the procedures. And this is an important issue. In this time and age, we need more dialogue, not less dialogue, more channels of communication, not less channels of communication. So we are very satisfied with their participation. So everything is going well according to plan, and under the leadership of Ambassador de la Fuente, all the proceedings have run smoothly, and we hope to continue like that for the rest of the week.
Thank you so much. As a person coming from a country that has not signed or ratified, but that's here as an observer, I'm very happy that you are both including them, but also pushing them by showing them the humanitarian consequences of nuclear weapons and really putting this in the center of the debate. One last question before I know you have to run back into the room. Yeah. What's your expectations? Do you have any hopes for the last few days?
Well, of course, we need to complete the formal proceedings of the meeting. The administrative staff have some decisions taken by the states parties, and a political declaration signed by all states parties. So we're working on it. We're going to have that. But also my expectation is that more and more people get involved in the work of the TPNW, but also are aware of the consequences of nuclear weapons, because we were accustomed in the past of just talking about who has the weapons, who doesn't have the weapons, who can have them, who says that they deserve to have the weapons, but we are not accustomed to talking about the consequences, or we think that this is an issue of the past. And the discussions that led to the TPNW, the humanitarian initiative, demonstrated that this is an issue that would have terrible consequences for the 21st century international society. And now, with the exacerbation of conflict and rhetoric that we have been facing in the past months and years, it is an important issue to consider as a current danger, as a current threat, not an issue of the past. So I hope that more and more people get aware of that. That's my expectation.
Ms. Toni Jacques, thank you so much for being here and for all the effort you put into this treaty. All the best for the next days.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much to Toni Jacques. That took time in what's a very, very busy week. And it's busy also for civil society. We're soon going into the break in the Trusteeship Council, the lunch break. And there's a lot of side events going on. There's side events on challenging nuclear security that we heard from Dimity Hawkins yesterday. She talked about what that side event would be about. It's side events about the role of the financial community in TPNW implementation, about humans and nuclear weapons and how they cannot coexist, where there will be testimonies from hibakushas from different countries. And if you tune in to MSPTV today at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, you might hear from, if we are lucky, Pedro Reis about the role of art in activism and how these can reinforce each other. He is the driving force behind Artists Against the Bomb. So, thank you so much for following MSP TV. And remember to tune in 5 p.m. today and 11 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you.